film clip you just saw is a two-man kata called Thunder Meets Earth. And the objective today is to teach you the fundamental building blocks of that kata so that you can take those building blocks and recreate the kata for yourself, ultimately doing your own presentation. Before we start today, I want to make sure you're aware of two things. Doing arnis, especially with a partner in a rapidly moving situation, can be dangerous. So you want to make sure when you're practicing on your own to prevent eye injury that you use a pair of safety goggles or safety glasses. Now what we use in our class is a basic set of construction safety glasses which you can pick up at any hardware store for about $3, and we have found that they are effective in preventing eye injuries. Of course, the more money you invest in safety, the higher degree of safety you'll have. So if you want to buy the best, make the investment, that's fine. But if you don't have the money, these will work almost as well. Secondly, the entire kata and all of the arnis weapons that you see in this kata will be with a 28-inch stick. We use the 28-inch stick exclusively, and if you're interested in working on arnis, you'll find that there are various sizes of sticks available in the marketplace, some of them being 24 inches, 25, or 27. But for safety purposes in a class and also for maximum utility in a fighting situation, we have long since settled on the 28-inch as being the preferred length for our own pursuit. Okay, Thunder Meets Earth. Now you've seen the kata presented as an exhibit for you just a few minutes ago. Before we start the instructional segments, I want you to keep in mind that the kata is composed of several building blocks, and each building block can be learned separately and perfected separately. So when you go back to the kata and recall what you just saw, and you might want to make a note of this on paper before we go forward, the kata is broken off into counts or beats. It's almost like a musical score, and the first set of counts is an 8-beat movement. Then there's the second set of counts, which is 8 beats. Then there's 6 beats. Then there's 6 beats. Then there's 8, and then there's 8, and so forth. Now we're going to explain this in detail as we move forward in the kata, but we want you to be aware of that from the very onset, so that as you're practicing and learning this kata, you will have this counter working in your mind at all times, so that you are moving effectively and cleanly, and you are moving in sequence with your partner. Again, it's just like a musical score if you're a musician, just like playing music. And then as time goes by, when you perfect the kata and you do it at a high rate of speed, you can switch partners, you can play either role of the kata, it will just become completely automatic. But in the beginning, the fastest way to learn it is to remember at all times that there is a sequence of beats that you have to apply and keep in your mind until you perfect the movements and until they become instinctive. Now, lastly, when you do the kata, and you'll need to make a note of this also at this beginning stage, there are 2 roles, and this is sort of like street theater. You're going out there and you're performing and you're trying to tell a story. But the 2 actors have names, symbolic names in the kata. One actor's name is Tore, T-O-R-E, and the other actor's name is Uke, U-K-E. Now that comes from the Japanese. Those are terms that are used to identify which person plays the role of the attacker and which person plays the role of the defender, the one reacting to the attack. It really has no other significance than that. It just tells you who initiates the action and who's responding to the action. So when you see the kata unfold, you'll see that the very first thing the participants do is to identify who Tore is and then who Uke is, because the movements are slightly different. Tore is the initiator of action, Uke is the one who responds to the action. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead to the first learning block of this kata. Before us at this time is Sensei Ralph Howard. Sensei, if you'll turn to the camera. Right? And Sensei Chris Antis. Chris? And what they were executing just a few seconds ago was the single Sinawali pattern, which is the initiation or the beginning of the kata, except that they were doing it at its most elementary level, empty hand with no sticks. Now if you've done this pattern before, you can move ahead on the tape because you may already know this, and that's fine. But if you've never done this before, we're going to have to explore this at a basic level so that you can do it at home before you move forward with your stick. So here's the pattern. It's up and down, up and down. So for example, Sensei Ralph Howard is Tori and Sensei Chris Entis is Uke. That means that Sensei Ralph Howard executes the first move with his right hand. He strikes upward, and notice how Chris Entis mirrors him throughout. Next strike, next strike, next strike, Yame. Okay, now it's a 4-strike cycle. It's 2 strikes from each side, but in the kata, it's done as an 8-beat sequence. So going back to Sensei Ralph initiating, I'm going to count a full 8-beat sequence. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yame. Now what you should do is just turn your video on pause for a few seconds and see if you can recollect what just occurred on your own or with a partner. And after you have a chance to do that for a few seconds, return to the tape. Okay, I'm assuming that you've got it down at least up to the 8-beat pattern. We're going to extend the 8-beat pattern to a full 2 8-beat patterns, which is the first cycle of the kata. Gentlemen, I'll count. Sensei Ralph Howard is Tori. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yame. Now on your own, when you're practicing this, what you need to do is master this pattern. And the way to master the pattern is simply to play it out. And if you have a partner that you're learning this kata with, all the better. If you don't, you're going to have to find a partner, because essentially this is a 2-man set, and it just won't be any fun doing it by yourself. But as an example to you and how you can perfect this pattern, we'll let these 2 gentlemen just begin once again by demonstrating what they were doing at the beginning of this segment, a fluid drill. Gentlemen, on your own. Now notice how they move about, always being sure to respond accurately to the strike. You can vary your height, you can vary your distance, you can vary which leg is forward, you can turn to the side, you can rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. You should be able to do all these and feel comfortable with the drill. Gentlemen, Yame.